Are you searching for the most authentic Taoist practice? If you've been studying Taoism in English, chances are you will feel like something missing, as if there's a layers beneath the words and you just can't understand the subtle message embedded. And it is not just the language. In the 2,000 years since Taoism was founded, generation after generation of practitioners have added their own interpretations, their own layers of meaning. Over time, the most authentic knowledge has been buried deeper and deeper. What we call Taoism today is not what the early master practiced. It is a version, filtered, modified, and often distorted, that makes the task of uncovering the true path even harder. Let's sit with a question. If truly understanding the Taoist scriptures were enough to ascend to immortality, then China, with its millions of Taoists, will be filled with immortals floating in the sky. Clearly, that's not the case. The text alone, even for a native Chinese speaker, even for someone who pores over every original word, are not enough to reach immortality. I'm not saying this to dismiss Taoist practice. Quite the opposite. I'm saying it because the real path has been buried. And in what follows, I want to clear away the misunderstanding and show you what the genuine path to mortality actually looks like. My name is Aaron. I'm living in China and I'm a practitioner on the path to immortality. After being cultivating for 5 years, I've developed certain special abilities along the way. To be honest, I am not and would not call myself a Taoist practitioner. I don't want to associate myself with religion, because once knowledge becomes religious, it creates power structures and dogma, and in the end, the original truth gets buried. Taoist practice today has been formalized. Many followers no longer pursue immortality or longevity, or rather, the path to immortality has effectively been closed to them. If Taoists in China themselves no longer know how to cultivate correctly, then how could they possibly transmit that knowledge to the West? And how could Westerners even hope to ascend to mortality? That's why I feel it's necessary as someone actually walking this path to come forward and clarify some things. Let's go back 2,000 years ago, back to the beginning of Taoist practice. Let's look at what the original path looked like, why the founding master and his disciples were able to attain immortality, and why most Taoists today cannot. There's an ancient text called Shen Xian Zhuan, Biographies of the Immortals. Inside, it records the story of Taoism founding master, how he established the tradition, and how he and his disciple ascended to immortality. His name is Zhang Daolin. He is generally honored with the title Celestial Master Zhang. How did Celestial Master Zhang discover that it was possible to cultivate and become an immortal? In the beginning, he was simply an educator, but at some point, he realized no matter how much knowledge he accumulated, it could not solve the problem of mortality pursuing. It could not lead to long life. So he let go of his teaching position. He left the life behind. He began wandering, traveling to famous mountains and great rivers, visiting every place where mortals might appear. He went searching, hoping to find one who could guide him. Do you notice? The founding master, Celestial Zhang, did not attain the path to mortality simply by sitting in meditation, waiting for a sudden moment of enlightenment. He had to go searching. He had to find a true immortal. He had to ask to be taught. In other words, Zhang Daolin and the Chinese people knew that immortality was possible long before Taoism was established as a religion. The method of cultivating immortality did not originate with Taoism, nor has Taoism ever held sole authority over it. He searched from the west to the east, from the north to the south, and finally, the immortals were touched by his sincerity. One day, on a mountain called Fanyang, an immortal appeared to him. There, he was taught the method of refining qi and forging the elixir. Zhang stayed on the mountain and practiced. As he cultivated, his body grew stronger, healthier. He could feel it working. This confirmed that the method was real and effective. So he kept going. He continued wandering, traveling to over 10,000 mountains across China. And slowly, something began to shift. he started to develop the ability to communicate with the spirit of nature itself, or perhaps more accurately, natural divine beings. If you are paying attention, you will notice something here. Why mountains? Every Taoist practitioner knows the word qi or qi. It refers to the essence hidden behind all things, an invisible force that animates the world. In modern Western terms, it is sometimes translated as energy. But qi is not one single thing. It has different qualities. There is clear pure qi, luminary and full of life force. This is the kind that can be cultivated to attain immortality. It is called true qi, 真qi. And then there's a turbid, impure qi, stagnant and drained. This kind depletes one's vitality and invites misfortune. Human beings also have their own qi, the energy that sustains the body's daily functioning. But this is not true qi. It is something else entirely. So, what is true qi? What kind of qi is truly clear and pure? This is the question that tests every Taoist practitioner. Many practitioners know that the qi of nature is clear, so they go out into nature, they climb to the mountaintops, they sit in meditation, they practice qigong, believing that this is how they will receive true qi. But will they? Really? Will they? Ask yourself, after all these years of Taoist practice, have you obtained true qi? I will say plainly, you haven't. Your body and spirit have not transformed a fundamental level, have they? You haven't developed the ability to communicate with nature itself, have you? In the story of Celestial Master Zhang, why did he journey across more than 10,000 mountains? Because true clear qi is not scattered freely through the air. It is not casually disposed on just any mountaintop, waiting for someone to collect it. No. True qi is hidden within specific types of mountains, and to access it, a practitioner must know the specific methods. And here, I just revealed the key to immortality. The path is not found in religion, not in books, not in sitting meditation or practicing qigong, not even in how diligently you devote yourself. It comes down to one thing: whether or not you can obtain true qi hidden within the mountains. You either can or you cannot. For those who cannot, countless practice will still bring no real progress. Here is the second question. If any Taoist practitioner simply went to the right mountain, would they be able to attain true qi hidden within? No. As I said earlier, it was an immortal who taught Zhang Daolin the method of refining qi, not just any ordinary human teacher. An immortal, a being with supernatural abilities, or as they might be called, hidden masters, lofty beings. Without this key figure, an ordinary person cannot know how to obtain true qi. And more than that, they are not qualified to attain it, because this is not how the way of heaven works. What is the way of heaven? What is Ten Dao? It is the order by which all things unfold. Everything that happens within this cosmic structure, and the true qi of the earth, it is governed by the way of heaven. This qi is stored in specific places. Some of it is meant to nurturing the growth of grain, some sustains living beings, some supports the buildings of civilization itself. So here's the question. Which ordinary person has the right to take this qi, to redirect it for their own purpose? Would the way of heaven simply allow any mortal to reach in and help themselves to the earth's true essence? Clearly, no. That is not how it works. Unless it is a practitioner of upright character, one who holds compassion of all beings in their heart, one who is willing to cultivate toward immortality, not for selfish gain, but to walk in alignment with the way of heaven. Only then would the way of heaven permit its servants, the immortals, to teach this person, to show them how to obtain true qi, how to refine it, how to cultivate it towards immortality. Let's look at how Celestial Zhang actually did it. Why was the immortal willing to teach him? In the beginning, Zhang was a governor appointed by the imperial court. He could have lived a life of wealth and status, but he chose something else. He chose cultivation. He chose to study Tao. Why? Because he wanted long life. He wanted immortality. So he resigned from his post. He left it all behind, and he journeyed across the mountains and rivers of China, searching for the answer to long life. He visited every wise person he could find. He let no opportunity pass, no matter how slight, that might lead him to the truth. For years, he spent his time and his money. He sacrificed everything, and he never gave up. In the end, his sincerity moved the immortals. Perhaps it is better to say, it moved the way of heaven itself. And so, on Fanyang Mountain, an immortal appeared to him and taught him the method of obtaining true qi. On Fanyang Mountain, Zhang practiced with unwavering effort. He used true qi to refine his inner elixir, and his body grew stronger and healthier with each passing day. He had proven to himself that this path was real. This deepened his faith, and his diligence deepened along with it. The immortals saw his perseverance, so they taught him again. This time, they showed him how to communicate with the spirit of mountains and rivers. They transmit the method of what could only be called immortal art. And once again, this teaching took place on the mountain. Why did the immortals teach him these arts? Let's continue, and you will see. In the age when Zhang Daoling lived, malevolent spirits ran wide across the world. They brought plagues. They stirred up chaos and conflict. People were displaced, their homes destroyed. The law could no longer protect them, could no longer hold. Gradually, people stopped following morality. They stopped believing the Tao. Zhang had already mastered the art of elixir forging. He had journeyed across thousands upon thousands of mountains and gathered true qi from all of them. Enough to ascend. He could have left the world behind. But he realized something. If he ascended without doing anything, without helping anyone, he will only become a minor immortal, a small one. And even in the heavens, that will not bring true ease. If he wanted to become a great immortal, one who truly belonged to the way of heaven, he would have to do something for the people still suffering on earth. So he made a decision. He would stay. He would use what he had cultivated to help the people, to guide them through the chaos, to restore order and bring back morality. He would cross them over to the other shore. The immortals saw his compassion. They saw that he was someone who carried true responsibility, and so they began teaching him the higher arts. They showed him how to command the power of mountain and river spirits, how to summon their aid in clearing the world of malevolent forces. Zhang then established what would become Taoism. He gathered disciples and began teaching them the method of cultivation and some of the arts he had received. He used the organizational power of religion to accomplish what he could not do alone. Together, they defeated malevolent spirits that had plagued the world. They drove them back to the realm of death. They restored the order between life and death, between the worlds of yin and yang. In other words, Taoism was founded not as a path to immortality, but as a tool, a way to organize and empower people to help those in need. In the end, Celestial Master Zhang and some of his disciples received the final recognition of the way of heaven. On Yuntai Mountain, they ascended to immortality in broad daylight. That is the story of Celestial Master Zhang. 2,000 years have passed since Taoism was founded. Millions of people around the world now call themselves Taoists. And yet, those who have truly attained immortality, they can be counted on one hand. Why? Because the method of obtaining true qi was never made public. Later generations of Taoists never learned how to gather it. As I said earlier, to access true qi, to cultivate long life, to ascend to the heavens, you must be exceptional. Your character must be 1 in 10,000. Your mind must be steady, mature, unshakable. And even that is not enough. You must also pass through the immortals' long examination. Stage by stage, they test you. They watch, they wait. Only when they are certain, only then they know you are the right one, will they finally teach you the way of ascension. So they are Western practitioners of Taoism. As you can see, there are some millions of Taoists in China. Their native language is Chinese. They understand the text completely, and yet they practice Qigong every day. They copy the scripture every day, but their entire lives pass by without ever touching true Qi, let alone ascend into immortality. Why? Because their character has not passed the test. They still believe that truth is hidden in books, that true Qi is everywhere available to anyone, that immortals can be summoned at will. They believe that if they just calm their mind enough, their soul will transform and they can ascend to heaven on their own. On the surface, their practice looks devout, but underneath, it is wishful thinking, a fantasy dressed in robes. They ignore how things actually work. They ignore the basic laws of how reality unfolds. And as for understanding the greater Tao, the vast living order behind all things, they haven't even begun. And Zhang, how did he do it? He knew that truth could not be written plainly in books. If it were, the precious things would long ago have been seized by those with dark hearts. He knew that immortals cannot be summoned on demand, just as a true master does not show up and invited at a student's door. He knew that thousands, millions wish for immortality. He was not special, not yet. And he knew this. Only action, only sacrifice could prove his sincerity. So he chose to journey. He spent years of his life. He spent everything he had. He traveled across mountains and rivers, seeking out every place where a mortal might appear, not assuming, not hoping from a distance, but going, to see for himself, to find out what was real. Zhang's action proved his sincerity. Only then did the immortal teach him the method of attaining true Qi. And most Taoists today, they stay at home. They believe that copying scriptures over and over is diligence. They believe that bowing before statue again and again is devotion. They believe that if they just do what the majority of followers do, success will come. But in the eyes of the immortals, the harder they work, the lazier they appear. They make no real progress. They pour effort into empty motions. They could stop and ask, why isn't this working? But they don't. They just keep repeating. They are not striving for success. They are striving because they believe effort itself should be rewarded. They ignore how things actually work. They fill the real world with fantasies. This is not maturity. This is not readiness. Would the immortal come to teach people like this? No, they will not. The story of Celestial Master Zhang has always been there. Every person in China can read it and understand the words. But understanding, true understanding, it is not the same for everyone. Some read it and know. The first step is to seek the immortals, to find the true teacher, to search for true Qi, to go to the mountains. Others read the same story and see nothing. They only know to follow the crowd. But truth is always belonging to the few, isn't it? So, Taoists who are listening, if you also question what the majority does, if all you want is the truth, then put down the scripture for now. Be brave enough to step outside. Go, find a true master, find a real teacher, find the one who can show you how the journey to true Qi begins. I'm Aaron. This is Celestial Feed. In the videos to come, I will continue unfolding the real path to mortality for those who are truly seeking. If that is you, subscribe. I will see you in the next one.